Hey everybody, what's going on? This is episode number 97, and the season is here, so we're excited about that. We're excited to get rolling. We got some good weather coming in this weekend, so we're excited about that. But before that, we got Ethan Stubbs from Bowhunting Whitetails on the podcast this week, and we're really excited about that too. If you guys don't know, he works with Bill Winke, formerly of Midwest Whitetail, the guy who started that. He's now doing his own thing with Hoyt on Bowhunting Whitetails, and Ethan is basically his main cameraman. He's doing some hunting on that show as well. They got some cool stuff coming up this year. Ethan was an intern with Midwest Whitetail as well. So we're going to get into a great conversation with him. We talked about a lot of different things, covered a lot of topics. It was a ton of fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy it too. But before we get into that, don't forget about our partners for the podcast, one being Rodney Hawkins. If you guys are looking for your own piece of ground to manage and hunt, he's the guy to talk to. He grew up hunting and fishing in Southern Illinois, and he's now putting that love for the outdoors into selling recreational properties as a land specialist with Midwest Farm and Land. Now, Midwest Farm and Land isn't your average real estate company. They sold over $85 million worth of ground in 2022 alone, with agents like Rodney all over Illinois. They're really a local company with a national reach. For more info on them or any properties that may be available, you can contact Rodney directly at 618-925-3153, and he'll get you taken care of. There's actually a really nice property listed right now. I think it's around 50 acres in kind of the Berry Township area. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you get a hold of Rodney. Anybody local or out-of-state guys looking for something in Southern Illinois, I know it's a really, really good piece of property. He can get you all the information on that you need. He's also got his own company called RHO Outdoors. He's got products from Radix Hunting. He's got an all-natural scent elimination product called Camo Dust. He's also got Tacticam trail cameras now as well. So if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, you can send them a message through their Facebook page, RG Outdoors. You can email them at rgoutdoors@yahoo.com, or again, just call Rodney directly at 618-925-3153. Our other partner for the podcast is Grandpa Ray Outdoors. As you guys know, if you've been listening for a while, you've heard us talk about them. They specialize in providing the best nutrition for whitetail deer on your property, starting with the soil. They've got a full line of high-quality food plot seeds and plant foods with over 14 different blends to choose from. You're not going to have any trouble finding what you're looking for, whether that be fall or spring blends, corn and beans, switchgrass, liquid fertilizer, soil test kits, you name it. When it comes to food plots, they've got it. They're not just about selling their products, though. They're going to answer any questions you have about what would best be suited for your specific property. That way you can achieve the best results possible. Like us, John and his team don't believe in a cookie-cutter approach to wildlife nutrition, so they're going to treat you and your situation individually. They're not about a fancy label or package either. They're about good quality seed and taking care of their clients, and I can attest to that personally. We've used their seed blends on client properties all over the Midwest. We've used them on our own properties, and the results have always been as good as advertised. We've always been happy with what we've got out of them. It's good, clean seed with great germination rates, and it's at a good price too. So, and like I said, the customer service is second to none. So that's why we actually partnered with them in the first place, and that's why we're going to continue to do that here on the Ridgehunter Outdoors podcast. If you guys are interested in seeing what they have to offer or learning more about that, it's grandparrayoutdoors.com. If you do decide to buy something, use the discount code RHO podcast. That's all lowercase, no space, and you'll get 5% off your entire order. We're also a dealer for them as well, so if you see something you want and you don't want to pay shipping on it, you can come into the shop or send us a message on our website or something, or through our Facebook page, and we'll get you taken care of there. Our Facebook page is Ridgehunter Outdoors. So is our Instagram page. Those are our two socials that we use the most. We also have a Facebook group, RHO Podcast Patrons, where you guys can have some input on the show. You get some exclusive content. We're going to do some giveaways in there as the season goes along. Ridgehunteroutdoors.com is our website. If you see anything on there that you like, we're going to have some scents coming up soon. We're finally to that time. So our all-natural scents will be available in the store online. Any of that, any of the apparel, if you're looking for our food plot seed, anything you find that you like, you can use the discount code RHOPOD. That's all caps, no space, and that'll get you 10% off of anything on our website. The podcast is also found on our website, so if you're listening on any other platform, you can always find everything there as well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you guys listening there, make sure you follow us, leave us a review. That really helps us out. Same thing with YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. We got the show coming out. Next week will be the first episode. I will come up with a date. I'll post that when the first one's going to be out. We're really, really excited about getting that rolling. So without further ado, though, let's get into this conversation with Ethan Stubbs from Bowhunting Whitetails. This is the Ridgehunter Outdoors podcast. All right, we got Ethan Stubbs from Bowhunting Whitetails here with us tonight. Ethan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Doing well. I actually should have mentioned earlier, Nate was going to be here tonight, and he was all locked in. He's like, yeah, I can make that work. And then he texted me today, and he goes, I don't know, he probably won't be too proud of me saying this while we're recording, but he said, I don't know what I was telling you. I could make it Wednesday. It's my wife's 30th birthday, and she'll probably kill me if I don't come straight home. So he's not here with us tonight.
Oh, no big deal, yeah.
But it's probably a good thing, because had he came tonight, we may never saw him again.
That's right, yeah. Hey, some things are more important than
right.
Talking whatever, I guess, so no big deal.
That's right. So what I like to do with the first-time guests is I like to go all the way back to wherever you got started in hunting or the outdoors or whatever. Like, we've had guys that, started grouse hunting or whatever, or on rabbits or squirrels. And, like, who got you into hunting in the first place? Was it your dad, your grandpa, a friend, an uncle? How'd you get into it? What'd you start hunting kind of when you were introduced to it?
Yeah, so there's no doubt I started hunting at the earliest age possible with my dad. I was pretty much a shadow from, I think, like age 2 until even to today.
Right.
We really started, my dad's a houndsman, so we started hunting coons. And
Okay.
I remember, back then, opening day of coon season was like November, first week in November.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't cranked up about whitetails at that point. I was just excited to go get my new skinning knife and, a new pair of gloves, and then go out and coon hunt, for the first time of the year, and skin coon hides. And, that's kind of where my passion for hunting began, is, leading dogs through the woods, or I guess they were leading me, they were half bigger than I was.
Right.
And he's been, definitely the most influential factor, than anyone in my outdoor, passion is what it is. It's more of a lifestyle now, but it,
for sure,
it started with a passion, and he is, I owe him for that. And, I'll be forever grateful for that, for, raising me up that way. And he raised me and my brother the same way, to enjoy the outdoors. And, when I was 8 years old, I was able to go out and hunt for the first time. And I shot my first doe at 8 years old with a muzzleloader at like 15 yards. And, I can remember those days like it was yesterday. So,
mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. That's cool. And to get started on coon hunting too, running dogs is pretty cool, because I feel like even probably 20 years ago, if that, there were quite a bit of guys still doing it, but anymore, there just doesn't seem like there's many guys running dogs, at least down here where we're at. It used to be really popular running dogs for raccoon hunting or coyote hunting, either one, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of been lost, I guess, over the years.
Yeah, I think big thing that has to do with that is just, fur prices and stuff like that, obviously down.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys, they can't afford to, feed their dogs anymore. Coon prices aren't worth nothing. So,
right.
It's just a liability to have them around. But, we never did it for, the money or anything. We just did it because, that was his passion and my passion when I was little. And, it was just so fun. And he continues to do it. We have more coon dogs than I can count. And, he's still running all over the country chasing coons and, making good friends and doing stuff like that. So it's definitely still a big part of our lives, and especially his life. And, I'm still pretty involved with it.
Yeah, that's good too, for like if you're into turkey hunting. I don't know how big you are into turkey hunting, but where we're at, we have so much nest predation with the coons and stuff like that, that if you have a property or a section of properties that's got somebody running dogs or trapping on it, you can definitely tell the difference in the hatch the next spring, or the next summer,
absolutely.
I should say.
And Iowa just opened up their season too, so raccoon season now is all year round. It's just like the coyote season.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him, take as many as you can, and he does, but he still leaves some, to go out and chase,
mm-hmm.
Next year, because that's what he likes to do, and so he likes to keep a few around.
Yeah.
But I would say there's no shortage of population there for coons.
Yeah, no doubt. So, not to get too far off track here, you said you shot your first deer with a muzzleloader?
That's correct. Yeah, I was 8 years old. It just came up on my Facebook memories just last week. I was 8 years old, and I remember begging him to go, and I was like just a little kid and couldn't sit still. And we sat 2 rows deep in the cornfield, and like one of the biggest deer I've ever seen stepped out. The first hunt of my life. He stepped out at like 65 yards, of course. And I just wasn't composed, and it happened too quick, and couldn't get a shot off on him. And I was, super bummed. I can still remember the feeling.
Oh yeah.
And, after that, I was in kill mode. I was ready to rock, because, that doe came out and she was 15 yards away, and I had, blood on my mind. But...
Yep. She came out at the wrong time.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I still remember I used to, like you, be kind of a shadow to my old man when he would go hunting. And there was a time on a property that I'm actually still hunting. It had to be 20 years ago now. I was too young to even shoot at a deer, but we were in a little ground blind. Actually, it was one of those half blinds that they had. And I remember him telling me there was a buck coming and just to not move. And I didn't even see the deer. I just like tucked my head between my knees and covered up with my hands and didn't move or make a sound. And he shot and he ended up missing the buck. But like to this day, I still remember that feeling of like, man, I should have at least looked up at him and saw the deer, because he was like, "You didn't see him?" I was like, "No, you told me not to move." So I was hiding out. But
No, I was the same way. It's just like so intense, in the moment.
yeah,
It's just like, don't move, and you're like trying to take it so serious when, if you knew then what you know now, you could probably peek at him and check him out, and probably, do whatever you want. He's not going to see it, but
right.
in the moment, it just feels like you're doing the right thing. And yeah, I've been there before too.
And it's crazy how that sticks with you after even 20 years gone by. That feeling, you still remember what it felt like.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell stories until I'm blue in the face of, youth hunting or early muzzleloader hunting with my dad, from age 8 to age 17, basically. Those were definitely, without a doubt, my favorite memories from hunting.
Oh yeah.
I tell everyone I know, like youth season in Iowa, there's just nothing better. It brings back so many, good memories, and whether it's turkey hunting or deer hunting. And that's why, I try to take a new kid out turkey hunting or something every spring. I just maybe give them back some of the, those memories that I had growing up, because like I said, those are just my absolute favorite memories, and definitely will be forever.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So when did you kind of move into bow hunting, and what was your first deer with a bow?
Yeah. So I would say I was probably in 3rd grade when I got my first bow. It was just a bare one from Cabela's, and I got it for my birthday. I can still remember going to Cabela's, setting it up for the first time, learning to shoot, shooting into a hay bale in my backyard. And so that's where I kind of got started. And it wasn't until a few years later that I ended up shooting my first deer. I can, still remember it. My dad walked me into the stand that morning because he had shot a buck the night before and was, letting him rest overnight more than anything, just on a marginal hit. And he walked me into the stand, and it was like, an hour later, and I shot, just the smallest 6-pointer a guy could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And just made an absolute terrible shot on it. I was so in the moment. Deer is only 15 yards away, but I was shaking like a leaf on a tree. And and it's I've definitely seen bigger deer than that at that point. But, the adrenaline of bow hunting, is something other, gun hunting. I've never, I can't imitate it, gun hunting.
Yeah, right.
So it was cool just to, have the deer that close. And that was a November, I want to say November 6th. So the deer were rutting hard, and it was also my first experience with that. So that's where I got hooked for bow hunting. For sure.
Yeah, that's cool. The first deer I shot with my bow was a button buck, and I think I missed him 2 times before I ended up shooting him. He was just one of those. He was so dumb that he didn't leave because he was a button buck, But I was just as happy to shoot that one as I was the biggest buck I've shot,
Yeah, no, it's just so cool. It's weird, how you progress through your hunting and how your perspective changes. I know I can think of the first time I ever walked in the woods. I couldn't even walk to the stand by myself because I don't know if I was scared of the dark or couldn't find the tree stand or both.
Yep.
And I was just ready, it's brown, it's down, and now it's like really targeting bucks 5.5 years or older, just mature deer. It's like hunting a different animal.
Yep.
But, I got the same enjoyment out of, every step of the way, whether, shooting a 90-inch 6-pointer, to shooting, 175-inch, whatever, it's so cool to see the progression, and it was definitely fun.
Yeah. And I think it's cool to see that in even like we're both fairly young, but we got started really young hunting deer, so we've kind of made that progression over the same amount of time as anybody would, but maybe we got a start a little earlier than, say, some people who may have got started hunting after high school or even in high school or maybe even out of college or something, and are still in that progression. But I think that's where it's important for us, like as hunters and people on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, you see so much negativity on social media about what guys are shooting. But like, if we could just be happy for people wherever they're at in their stage, and they may be hunting for 25 years and they're still just as excited about killing that 6-point. That's to me, that's the cool thing about hunting, is you can do it the way you want, and you can go out there and have fun doing whatever you're doing. And I think we should probably be, like, in my opinion, we should be a little more supportive of other hunters, as long as, everything's legal and up to snuff and whatever. But the negativity and all that, it's tough to see, especially when, like you're talking about, you go through that progression, and just because, like, a lot of people, did start young like us, it doesn't mean someone who's 35 had the opportunity to shoot anything yet. So maybe they're shooting that little 4-corn buck and they're really excited about it, and then they go post it on social media and they get run down. It's kind of
that's tough. It's tough to see, and I like to be like, I like to look at the positive side of things. And I think we have gotten better as a community as a whole, the hunting community of it's their tag. What's it matter to you what they kill? It's like, it's a wild animal at the end of the day. And, you can get mad and upset, and, it's just, that's not how I want to live. And that's not how really anyone should live. If you're upset about, a deer getting killed, it's like, you don't own the deer, you're just out there hunting. And, if you get upset by, someone else shooting whatever makes them happy, it's probably time to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
Yep.
It's just like, why do you hunt? Is it, it doesn't matter, what anyone else is doing. You need to have, your own personal reasons and personal enjoyment of hunting. And, that's kind of what I've had. I love to be in the stand. I love to, nothing better than a crisp, November morning.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think that's what, I live for. I live for those days. So, even if I never shoot a buck again, but I can, sit in the stand in November, and just soak it all in, I'll be happy. And see the, sun come up over the, hardwood ridge. There's just nothing better.
Yep. I'm the same way. Like, and even now, the last few years, several years, I would say, like, hot days in the early season, I don't even like necessarily going, unless it was a 200-inch deer. Even if I've got a mature buck that's a nice buck that I would shoot on a daylight pattern, if it's 85 degrees outside, I'm probably not going to go hunt him, Like there's days I might, but like you, I enjoy just as much the being out there on that crisp November, late October morning and the whole experience as much as I do the actual shot and killing the deer. Yeah,
I agree. And, it's every property is so different. It's like, I'm the same way. I'm not going to go hunt a buck in early October. Just the farms that I hunt are, permission pieces. And the last thing I want to do is put too much pressure on those deer and,
no doubt,
really, make them go nocturnal or leave the property or, whatever. But, there's a lot of guys that are killing these deer early October, first cold front, those cold October winds come in, and really get those deer on the feet, especially if it's a green plot. And the new, trail cam technology and stuff and all that, there's a lot of big deer that get killed that early October. It's just, at this point in my hunting career, I don't, have a farm that I own. So I'm not going to do that yet, but hopefully someday.
Right. Yeah. I'm in the same boat as you on that. And yeah, those early October cold fronts can be killer for big buck movement. And like, we get 2 tags in Illinois, so like if we get one of those and I have a buck, I'm going to go out on certain farms, kind of like what you're talking. I have places that I don't necessarily want to go in too early because I know they get better as the season goes on. But y'all go take advantage of one of those, and then if I do kill something, I always have that other tag in my back pocket, which is nice. Now, in Iowa, and we're kind of we're getting off on a little tangent here, but that's all right. We'll come back. In Iowa, you get, is it one tag, and then unless you're a landowner, there's different situations where you can get more than one tag, correct?
Yeah, so I think the best way to say it is Iowa's, a 2-buck state, right? You can buy one bow tag and you can buy one gun tag, or you can buy an archery tag for the late split.
Oh, okay.
But if you are a landowner, a resident landowner, you can buy a landowner tag. You can buy a landowner archery tag, and use it for archery season. So there is a way to shoot 3 bucks, and then obviously you can party hunt during the Iowa gun season.
Yeah, and that's wild to me. The whole concept of party hunting is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I actually did it for the first time. I was kind of in the same boat. I'm just like, I don't know what to think of all this stuff,
Right.
And, I kind of just did a check in the mirror, and I was like, these people like to hunt just like I do.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to just go and experience it.
Yep.
And see just the different type of, I just kind of wanted to open my mind to it
Mm-hmm.
more than anything because, I was shut off to it, honestly. And, I went, and, it was fun. It was just,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a laid back hunting camp feel, your buddies or, come together and, I don't know. It was to each their own, like we were just saying.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
if that's what makes people happy is going out with their buddies and, shooting a shotgun and killing deer for 1 or 2 weekends a year, so be it. It was fun. It's still not for me. I probably, I would prefer bow hunting, every day of the week over it, but
Right.
it was good to just try it once and experience it and, see what all the hype is about. But yeah, because for the longest time I was like, man, what is this party hunt deal? What, I didn't
Yep.
understand it.
Yep.
It just seemed crazy. It's like, how many bucks can you shoot? And,
Right.
but
Yeah, and I'm not knocking anybody that's doing it. It's just like the fact that you can do that is.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean it's wild.
No, I was the same. I still kind of am. It's just like, it's like you don't have a buck tag, but you can kill a buck. And you're
Right.
like,
Right.
yeah. And you're like, well, make this make sense, But I guess I would say hopefully the biologists in the state of Iowa are hopefully smarter than me, and
Oh, yeah.
can figure it out.
Well, smarter than me. I don't know about you, but I'm sure they're smarter than me.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a rhyme or reason, or whatever it might be. But
Right.
it was cool to experience that type of hunting, and I just wanted to try it once, and I don't know if I'll do it again or not, but
Right.
it was cool to just try it and be open-minded at least to it. And
Oh, yeah.
I guess it really helped me further identify that bow hunting is 100% my passion.
Yep. Most things are worth trying at least once.
yeah. That's what they say.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the same way. So my old man owns a deer shop, and we're always busy shotgun weekend, of course. And so all my life growing up, he was never able to go gun hunting with me. So I had to wait till I was old enough to go by myself. And I started going shotgun hunting by myself because that's all you could use at the time in Illinois. And I would hear more shots than I would see deer. I would see more hunters than I would see deer. And I mean, I killed a few with a gun, never any big bucks, but it was kind of like what you're saying. I would bow hunt over that every day of the week, all day long. Unfortunately for us, and I think we were talking about this when we talked on the phone before, but like that gun season falls right smack in the middle of November every year.
Oh, man.
Which is kind of unfortunate, but I've been a few times, and now I'd just rather come up here and work at the shop and then go pick up the pieces after gun season and see what's still left out there walking on 4 good legs, hopefully.
Yeah, I know. That's the same way I am. Like, it's fun to be in camp and just see, how everyone else does it and how everyone has their own style of hunting,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was fun. I had a good time. It's just, I would, I'm definitely not going to burn a buck tag on that. I would,
Right.
prefer the late archery split, and I think I'm going to be pretty much done hunting with a gun in total. I think, I just enjoy bow hunting so much.
Yeah.
I think even, late muzzleloader season when you can use a muzzleloader, I think I'm just still going to take, archery tackle to the tree. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, everyone likes to hunt the way they like to hunt. And, I'll go sit in a tree when it's negative 100 degrees out, I guess.
Yep.
And, test my luck. But that's just what I enjoy for sure.
Yeah, there's something about archery hunting I think gets in your blood, and if you like it, you really like it. And then, I'm the same way. Like, there's something about having to get that close to the deer that you're trying to kill, and then not only get them that close, but then actually get drawn back on a deer, and then just the flight of the arrow thing. And like, I don't want to go all mystical Ted Nugent on it, but like, there's something about it that's just different,
Oh, I know. And I like hunting with Jared Mills. I always kind of talk to him. We were, turkey hunting off the ground with a recurve,
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you, like, without a blind, I'm like, how do you get drawn, man? And he's like, that's when the game begins, or that's when the hunt begins, he said, and that stuck with me. And it's just like, no, it's true. It's true. I mean, there's a whole different aspect of bow hunting that, a lot of people won't understand or can't appreciate, or, whatever the term might be. But, those who know, it makes it that much more special.
Yep, for sure. So that kind of gets us a little bit back on track there. You said you hunting with Jared. So you shoot your first deer with a bow, and then I guess when did you shoot your first buck with a bow?
So the first deer I did shoot with a bow was a
It was a 6-point,
buck.
right?
Yeah, just a tiny buck. And for the next 3 years, I think I killed 130-inch deer, 130-inch deer, 130-inch deer.
Mm-hmm.
And so moving into my freshman year of college, COVID hit, COVID hit at the end of my senior year of high school.
Okay.
And so moving into freshman year of college, it was like all online classes. You had to wear a mask everywhere you went,
Yep.
living on campus. And I was like, man, screw this. I'm out of here. And so I just, moved back home and, keyed in on some properties and, where I hunt Northeast Iowa and, found some really good deer. And I was able to successfully harvest, my first, Boone and Crockett buck and he was right at 170-inch net, typical 10.
Wow.
And now, that was like the first time I'd ever done anything by myself, hang tree stands and, run cameras and, really do everything by myself.
Right.
And I wish I could say I did everything the right way, but man, I messed up 4 times on that deer. And it's a miracle he stuck. Before I shot him, I saw him 6 times. I think I spooked him 4 times and he winded me once.
Wow.
So it was a miracle that deer, I don't know if it was a godsend or what the deal was, but it was a miracle that deer stuck around that property for that long. And, I was able to, shoot him and I made a really good shot and he ran 10 yards and fell over. And, I can still remember the feeling of, just pure excitement coming up, it was so cool. That was probably one of my favorite hunts too. I feel like I have a lot of favorite hunts. But.
Yeah. So if Nate were here, he would say that nets are for fish. So what did that deer gross?
I think he was like, I think like net and gross was really similar.
No kidding. Because just big, typical frame.
Yeah. He had 28-inch main beams and 11-inch tines. And, I think he was 22 inches inside. He was just like.
Big framey deer, huh?
Big framey deer. I shot a really nice deer last year.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that too.
That deer fits inside the other deer.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so it's just like, you look at the 2 on the wall and the other deer's got him beat, the deer I killed last year's got him beat by a couple inches, but they're both impressive deer. It's just the frame on the deer I killed is just unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. The one you shot last year looked like a monster on camera. And obviously it's 170 something. It is a monster, but that's crazy that that other one's just that much bigger framed, I guess.
Yeah. He looked like a monster coming in too. I was scrambling, self-filming and it's everything's happening 100 miles an hour, it feels like. And, you watch the footage back and it's not, it's just your head playing tricks on you. But,
yep.
I was able to successfully tag that buck and, that was a good hunt too.
Yeah. Those big frame deer like that, dude, they look different coming through the woods. And we actually had one come through the shop. I think might have been 21 and it was 204 and some change or something like that. But like the frame of it had a little more mass or some junk. It had the frame of a 220-inch deer, and I can't imagine seeing something like that walking through the woods at you, what that 100 miles an hour thing you're talking about for sure.
Oh, it's just crazy because, you see him that many times and it's just like, I remember feeling, I think the time I killed him, I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen. I've blown this deer out 100 times.
How am I going to screw it up this time?
Yeah, literally, that's what it was a ticking time bomb. And, he was running up a ridge straight above me and like Northeast Iowa was really bluff country. And he was directly right above me. I was in the bottom and, I hit a doe bleat and I think it caught his attention and he came right down the fence line and I shot him at, 33 yards or whatever it was. And, just drilled him. I don't know. I think God guided my arrow because it's like, man, I don't even remember aiming. I was just drew back and, waiting for him to, run off and I missed him or whatever. But, something happened to where, I made a perfect shot and, I don't know. It worked out perfect.
I think sometimes he gets tired of seeing us screw it up and he's just like, here, let me do it for you this time.
That's right. It was a gift more than anything. And, I remember, walking up to him for the first time with my dad and like we both looked at each other and I'm just like, man, that deer just gets bigger. It feels like he gets bigger every time, I see him on the ground.
Yeah.
And then, you finally, pick him up and it's like, wow, he's just so impressive.
Yeah. So that was in 2020, I guess, the fall of 2020.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yep.
Okay. So COVID happens and all that. You said you were hunting with Jared Mills. You did an internship with Midwest Whitetail. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, that was so after I said, the college deal, I was like, I'm tired of wearing a mask and whatever else not. I moved home and I guess it all started in high school when I decided to take a bunch of credits in college ahead of time because I knew I wanted to do this.
Right.
I would send Bill messages when I was probably like 16 years old. I remember I was in study hall and I was like, hey, can I, be an intern? He's like, we want our guys to at least be out of high school first,
Right.
And so, yeah, I had really planned for the internship for a long time. And, finally, one of my friends sent it to me that I guess it was 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, I don't know, and I'm like, whatever, I just got to try it.
Yeah.
And so I did. And still remember getting, messaged by Josh Sparks, who's like, felt like the biggest super, role model or whatever in the industry. He was messaging me on or Gmailing me. And, I was super pumped. I was working in the Cabela's warehouse. And I remember, going to the, to the bathroom and like calling him back because I didn't want to get fired.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm like, but it was cool. And then, we went through that whole interview process and, jumping on a call with Jared and Josh and Drake and, all those guys. It was, a super surreal moment for me,
mm-hmm.
And then finally, they called me back and, Josh, me and him are really good friends now. And he's always got to play some sort of trick on me. And, he just, hey,
you got to
man,
appreciate that.
Yeah. He calls me. He's like, yeah, I just want to let you know, man, you didn't get the internship. And I'm like devastated, man. Like my dreams just,
Yep.
went out from under me right now. And then he just starts smiling. He's laughing. He's like, I'm just kidding, dude. He's like, we're going to offer you. And, I just still remember that. And I was like, dude, you suck. But
yeah,
I want to do it, so.
That's
and
awesome.
Then, so I went on a couple turkey hunting trips with him that spring. And, so then I really started preparing for fall.
Yeah. So what's that look like as an intern with Midwest Whitetail? Like what else does that entail, being on that team in that role?
Yeah, my internship, I tell everyone, it was the best 6 months of my life. I mean, that was just the most enjoyable, fun time I've ever, and I'll never forget that.
Mm-hmm.
But so what we did was we were in charge of producing the daily blogs and filming hunts and stuff like that. So I moved in late July, I believe, and moved to Des Moines, lived with Josh and Carson, who now works for Jury Outdoors. And kind of just, you just wing it for the summer. We went out and filmed velvet bucks and filmed hanging cameras and just try to get a little bit better every day, whether that's editing or videos or, whatever. And then, as the season rolls around, I was filming with Jared pretty much all fall. I would say me and Gavin Coturbo were, switching on and off with Jared.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically you'd hunt all day and edit all night and do that for like, a month straight. And I don't know. You got to live in it. It was so fun.
Yeah. I would say following Jared Mills around is a pretty good apprenticeship too when it comes to hunting big Iowa whitetails.
Oh, and I mean, Jared's definitely one of my biggest role models too. So it's just, it's more than just the whitetail. It's the, the friendship and, being a role model and advice and being a better man. All those guys are just super great guys. So there's so much stuff I picked up on, and, hunting big deer is just, a cherry on the top.
Kind of a bonus, right?
Yeah. As everyone knows, Jared kills some giants. So,
for sure. Yep.
And yeah, it was so fun to roll around with him for the fall. Yeah,
it's cool to see him doing his own thing now too. Obviously, like with Bill, you guys doing the bow hunting whitetails thing is, I guess it's kind of similar that come from Midwest Whitetail and then now kind of branching out for him maybe, but doing their own thing. And his channel, I think it's already extremely popular because everybody likes watching Jared kill big bucks, but it's pretty cool to see that too.
Yeah, Jared's, he's going to be successful in whatever, he decides to do. And, same thing goes for Bill or whoever, and so it's cool to see those guys go out and succeed and, continue to kill big deer. And, I'm always rooting for those guys. Yeah.
So you said you were talking about Josh. You got a pretty good friendship with him. Now, is he with Jury now, or is he back with Midwest Whitetail?
He is back with Midwest Whitetail. He's kind of running the day-to-day operations and editing, and he's kind of the manager over there now. And he's killing it. He's doing an awesome job. And I talk with him weekly pretty much, and it's cool to see what they got coming and the big deer that they're hunting. And
yeah,
so he's been kind of taking over there, and a couple of the other interns that were in my class, Rye Ludwig, who's filming Mike Reed all the time. And then Gavin Coturbo, who's now producing Chasing November. So it was a fun fall, and they got a lot of exciting stuff coming at Midwest Whitetail.
Yeah. Now, he was with Jury last year, right?
That's correct.
Josh was?
He actually, Yeah, he left to go to juries during my internship.
So you ran him
And
off, is what you're saying?
yeah, he's tired of living with me, I guess. Kicked me out. No, that was a good opportunity for him, and he went ahead and did that. And Carson was an intern as well, and went to juries, and he did that for a year. And his passion always was Midwest Whitetail, and so I'm glad he found his way back.
Yeah, for sure. So by the time you got there, Bill had already kind of parted ways, right?
That's correct. Bill, I think, left in 2020 was his very last year. So I never met Bill at all during my Midwest Whitetail internship. I'm sure he, knew of me, or maybe not, but
Right.
it's just crazy to think, I would always remember, telling everyone, man, I just wish I could film Bill for, a couple hunts.
Mhm.
It's just crazy, speak it out loud, and then it comes true. But
Right.
so yeah, I never met Bill throughout that deal, but it was still a good experience.
Yeah. So kind of the reason I asked that is obviously now you're working on Bowhunting Whitetails with Bill for his channel. So where did that kind of lead from Midwest Whitetail to then going and working with him? Was that straight out of your internship? Like, what did that look like?
No, so straight out of my internship, I had a couple different opportunities. I decided to do a lot of marketing and stuff for a land company that's local to Northeast Iowa.
Mhm.
And Bill and I, where Bill grew up and where I grew up, are 15 miles apart. So just through mutual connections, I've reached out to him and
Mhm.
met up with him a couple times. And at that point, he wasn't producing any content.
Right.
And I'm just like, hey, I don't know what your future in the industry looks like, but I'd really love to film you. Like,
You're right.
I just reached out and talked to him in person, and I was adamant about it. I'm gonna make him come back. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And, he's man, I don't know. He's like, I don't. He just was a little hesitant to come back into it. Because he just did it for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he always tell me, I wish I had a cameraman I could just fit in my backpack. And I'm like, I'm not a very big dude at all, so I was like, this is perfect. This is my leverage, man. So
Yep.
I was able, we were able to, when he decided to come back and start producing content, he reached out to me, and I couldn't be happier to say yes, and be able to roll with him. And it's just been an absolute dream come true to be able to hunt with him.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, the backpack comment, because I noticed watching the videos that Bill's quite a bit taller than you, but he's a pretty big guy, right?
Yeah, so most people don't know, but Bill is 6'5".
That's what I thought.
so
He was like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, he's a tall dude, and I'm only like 5'8". So
It makes it look even worse on camera.
Yeah, I know, and I just laugh.
So Jordan's got to be pretty tall too, then. For a girl,
she's a little bit shorter than me, probably.
Okay.
5. I don't know. I mean, I'm probably 5'6", 5'5".
Okay.
I don't know.
So average.
But yeah, I would say so. But definitely Bill's tall, and so it's just like he always said, I wish I had a camera guy to fit in my backpack.
You probably
like,
could.
I am your guy. I am your guy.
If you had just a little bit bigger pack.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd heard him talk about before, I think, something with his draw length, and I thought, man, like 32 inches or something like that. He must be a pretty tall guy. And then I forget where I'd heard that, but yeah, you definitely notice on camera that there's a little bit of difference there. But
yeah, I mean, he just makes everyone look short. When the interns, are normal sized guys, 6 foot or whatever.
Yeah.
He just still makes them look short. But
yeah.
I apparently I wasn't lucky enough to be 6'5" and 5'8", I guess. But it's still fun.
That's all right. You can still get enough kinetic energy to kill deer. I've seen you do it.
That's right. And that's the thing. If I put on Bill's arrow on my bow, it would look like, I don't even know what it would look like. He's shooting like a zip line or something,
Right? Like shooting a log.
20 inches of overhang over my rest. So, it's just funny,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like you said, everyone's a little different. We can all still kill deer and just have fun doing it. So,
yeah, that's not to get too far back to that too, but like I've had a few different people on we've talked to, and it's funny how everybody has their opinions on like what everybody else should be shooting as far as arrows and broadheads and bows and all that. And like I got my own opinions about what I want to shoot, and especially on the broadhead thing, that's always a hot topic. But like if you want to shoot a 2-blade Rage, go for it. If you want to shoot a Muzzy 3-blade, go for it. Like I've killed deer with about any broadhead that you can think of, at least any broadhead style, and I've lost deer with about any broadhead style you can think of. I just, it shocks me. I'm always amazed at how much people care about what other people are trying to kill deer with.
Oh yeah. I mean, it all comes down to shot placement at the end of the day. Like we
Yeah.
can, beat around the bush as much as we want, but if you shoot a deer in the heart you could shoot him with a rock, he's still going to probably die.
Mm-hmm.
And, and obviously, having a bigger broadhead helps on marginal hits, but it lacks in penetration too.
Right.
I ran into that this year. I shot that deer, further back than what I wanted to, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I was shooting a 2-bladed tripan, just a big expandable head. And,
Right.
I just squared up that rib and I still got, 9-10 inches of penetration. It was sticking through the other side. It's just, anytime you can get a pass through, it seems to help to get them to leak on both sides.
Oh, for sure. Yep, for sure. But it's that kind of dichotomy between you and Bill, like even just the size and the draw length in the arrows you're shooting. Obviously, from one end of the spectrum to the other, there's plenty of ways, even in between, that you can kill deer. And sometimes it seems like maybe we should just worry about what we're doing. Sometimes it's better to keep opinions to yourself, I guess. I don't know, but it's a hot topic and it gets clicks, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, Bill draws 32 inches and he's shooting 80-pound limbs, and so it's like I don't know if anyone's getting as much,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
yeah, energy out of their bow that I think I'm going to switch to 80-pound limbs next year. As long as it's comfortable for me, and
right.
And I can shoot. I think I shoot like 73 right now, real easy. So as long as it's comfortable and I can get it back on a cold day, I don't think there's any downside to it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've been kind of kicking around the idea, if I get a new bow, getting one with 80-pound limbs on it, just to try it. Obviously I want to shoot it first and make sure. I think if you could find one that the draw cycle wasn't too rough on, it would not be bad at all. Especially like I'm about where you're at, 71, 72 pounds, somewhere in there now, and it's comfortable and it's easy enough that I think I could move up to 80. And I don't see a lot of downside to it, like you're saying.
Yeah, my dad always says shoot fast, miss fast, but
right.
I don't know. It's just like you said, everyone's got their own, little knacks or whatever. And I think, the most energy I can get, I feel like I owe it to the deer that I'm hunting, to get, the quickest, cleanest, most ethical kill. So, maybe that'll help me. And, if it will, I'll definitely switch to it as long as it's comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't want to be fighting a bowstring when it's 10 degrees and I'm, have a booner standing under me. I would not appreciate that. So,
no,
but I'll probably do that here next year and then shoot all summer. So I'm definitely 100% confident in it.
So that actually reminded me, I think it was a Midwest Whitetail hunt a few years ago, and maybe you remember it. They were hunting with the Drury's a couple years ago. I cannot remember their names for the life of me. There was a couple that was hunting on there. Yes, and the girl, is it Taylor?
Yep, Taylor.
Is that
Byers,
right?
yep.
She was not able to draw back on this deer because, for whatever reason, like maybe because of the cold and she was sitting there, or the nerves and a combination of everything. So that's a real situation that could happen. I think that maybe he ended up killing that deer, but that's definitely something that can happen. So I always caution people who think they want to shoot heavier, like try it first, make sure it's easy on an average day, because when it does get cold and you've been sitting there for a while, that it's going to get harder.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was a little kid, just trying to grow up too fast. I'm like, man, I'm going to pull back 50 pounds this year, or whatever, and just fighting it in the backyard, just, fighting your ego more than anything. You're like, man, I'm going to get this thing back. And, but, whatever works for people. I know a lot of, girls that are shooting them at, 40 pounds and, and it's like they're still killing deer. So, more power to them. And it's just awesome that, nowadays everyone can hunt, whether it's girls, kids, elderly, whoever, they can all go out and enjoy the outdoors and, hopefully get a deer down too.
I think we've seen that in Illinois with the crossbow hunting as a kind of a net benefit because of that. Like it's made it so much bow hunting, so much more accessible to like everybody across the board, even guys like Jeff, who's on the podcast with us sometimes, who like back in the day, where he's at, he might not have been able to get a medical release to use a crossbow, but his shoulder's to the point where he's not comfortable drawing a bow with the poundage that would be required to kill a deer. So even guys like him, it's allowing them to hunt longer than maybe they could have before. I think that's a big part of that. And I don't know where I was at on that, the crossbow thing, but like Illinois now, you can use crossbow all through archery season.
I think, I mean, I shouldn't even say this because I don't know. I think they're trying to, do some legislation right now on crossbow hunting in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
During the archery season, I know for a fact that you can do it like in the late muzzleloader season. You can hunt with a crossbow.
Right.
Because there's a lot of kids that are aren't ready to shoot a rifle, or I mean a muzzleloader, I guess straight wall
Mm-hmm.
cartridge or whatever it might
Mm-hmm.
be. So they're they're opting to shoot a crossbow, and I guess whatever. I don't necessarily know if it should be illegal during archery season, but I'm also not the one making decisions, so
Right.
I'm just rolling with the punches and just hunting how I like to hunt.
For sure. For sure. I think even him just being with us, like we got 4 guys that do the podcast on, help out with it and all that, and we got anybody from, I'm probably as much all over the board as anybody with the broadheads I shoot and the arrow setups and all that, just trying different things. And then like Nate's kind of the traditional 100 grain expandable broadhead. Dad shoots the Muzzy 125s. He still shoots aluminum arrows out of his 2003 Patriot, Bowtech Patriot bow. And then Jeff's got the crossbow. So we kind of have all bases covered when it comes to like what you're saying, just doing whatever works for you.
Yeah, this year we partnered with B3 Archery, and so I'm excited to shoot their stuff too. They got an 1.5-inch 3-blade expandable that
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to shoot. It's like I said, it's significantly smaller than the broadhead I was shooting last year, so I'm expecting a lot better penetration, and
Right.
hopefully I make a lot better shot too. That was part of it. So,
Right. Yeah, that always helps.
Swallow the pride a little bit there, and it was there ain't it's no one's fault but my own. I should have made a better shot, and thankfully I was able to harvest that deer. But lesson learned, and I'm gonna roll with it moving forward.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, as big as anything, it's having confidence in what you're shooting, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And the more confident you are, the better shot you're probably going to make.
Oh yeah, I think this year's probably my most confident I've ever been in my setup. I really feel like I've been shooting really well and shooting a lot more than I ever have. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for the season. I know it opens on Sunday, so
Yeah.
I cannot wait. I'm pumped. I don't know. I think the plan for this weekend is just go after some does and wait till some bucks start to show up in late October. But
Yep.
either way, I'm still excited to go out.
Yeah, no doubt. That's kind of where we're at. I think we're going to do some doe killing early on, and then till the bucks start to get a little more daylight active. But let's get back to like you're now obviously you're working with Bill. What are some of the things like that you've even learned over the past, I guess it's been a year or a little over a year, maybe you've been working with Bill. What are some big lessons that you've learned from him, or is it just kind of maybe a something more general?
Yeah, I think Bill is one of my biggest role models. Just the way he just is in general. He's someone I admire to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like probably the most patient person I've ever met. Like whether it's with me or his daughter, or just the show or in general.
Mm-hmm.
He's just extremely patient. That's something I need to adopt because I tend to be impatient. Like
Yep.
sure everyone I know can attest to that.
Yeah.
But just patience, and one of the things I picked up from Bill is just hunting for your own reasons. Like like we've talked about, everyone's got their own reasons to hunt, but
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of enjoy the same things. Going out on the ridge and just seeing the sun come up and it's super pretty, and the leaves crunching, a big buck coming in, and it's just joy in being out there
Mm-hmm.
and having fun. He's making everything so enjoyable. To where it's just I've just been extremely blessed to have him be a part of my young career and life, and he's definitely a big role model of mine.
For sure. So what's Bowhunting Whitetails going to look like this year? Are you going to be in front of the camera a little more now that you have the interns? Are they going to be in front of the camera some? Obviously, Jordan's still a big part of it too. What's going to look like for this fall?
Yeah, I think Jordan's going to kill a bigger deer than everyone.
Probably.
The answer is yes to everything. It seems like the interns have got some really good spots on public and some private as well. They've got some good deer to hunt. They're going to be on the show. I'll probably roll with Bill quite a bit still.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I'm sure we'll be sleeping out on the ridges some nights.
Yep.
And, just and rolling with him, I would enjoy doing that, and getting some time to hunt myself on some cold fronts. So
yeah,
hopefully I can help provide some value to these interns, and help teach them some of the things I've been taught along the way, and when they're filming with me, and still be able to roll with Bill. I know, like I said, Jordan's on probably the biggest deer on the show right now. So, and he's been daylight. The last few days. So
that's cool.
Maybe yeah, so I'm excited, for her. Hopefully, early mid October, she can, have a buck down, and that'd be great for everyone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So whose idea was it to bring on the interns? Was that a Bill thing, or did you talk him into that too?
No, I wouldn't say we talked him in. We kind of brought it up together, and it was kind of, hey, do we want interns? And he's just like, if I we were kind of like beating around the bush a little bit, and I was like, let's just try it. I'll manage it. Kind of teach them everything I know, do a lot of the day-to-day stuff with them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been awesome so far. Alex and Carson are doing great. They're really stand-up guys, and they've been really fun to work with. So they don't make our jobs too hard. They've been really laid back, and they're just like us. They love to hunt, and they have a burning desire to do this as a career. So they've done really well so far.
Yeah, that's good. That makes it a lot easier when you can work with them and they're cool, laid back guys that will just do what you ask of them.
Absolutely. And they're both, just wired, just driven to go out and go hunting and, go hang stands. Anytime you ask them to do something, they're just, right at the, tip of your finger. So it's really cool, to find someone with the same passion that you have, that maybe you can, provide some value to and, help them establish in their career.
Yeah. And it'll be cool. And a cool addition to the show, I think, too, to have like that public land aspect that you're talking about, because obviously that's been so popular over the last few years, obviously with the hunting public guys and several others. It seems like there's a big push towards a lot of public land stuff out there too. So that'll be, I think, a cool addition to the show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, those guys have been working hard and scouting. And so I hope it comes together for them this fall. Alex is going to hunt Minnesota. He's actually from Michigan. So
okay.
He couldn't get his Iowa residency because he has some scholarships and stuff in Michigan. So he has to go back to school, but he was able to get a Minnesota tag. And then Carson actually changed his residency to Iowa, and so he's excited to start hunting Iowa for the first time.
Yeah, that's got to be a cool experience for somebody that's into whitetail hunting.
Especially from a guy coming, from Wisconsin. He's excited, and he was, he got his tag the other day, and he sent me a picture, and he's just pumped up. So I'm happy for those guys. They've been doing a really good job, and like I said, they do anything you ask, and do it to the best of their abilities, and that that's all you can ask from those guys.
Yeah. So while we're on other states, you just got back recently from a trip out west, and I saw a little bit of it on one of the episodes. But how was that? Like, was there more than one trip out there? What's kind of been going on with that for you?
Yeah, I've had a busy September. I started the 1st of September. We went out to South Dakota, me and one of my really good friends, and he was able to tag a giant velvet buck.
Sweet.
On the first day of the season, and I unfortunately just couldn't get it done. And but it was still a fun hunt. It's cool to just hunt a new state for the first time, and it was just a weekend trip. And so we came back to Iowa, and then a few weeks later, I went out to Montana to film with the Crush with Lee and Tiffany.
Okay.
In Montana on an elk hunt, and I got back from that mid-September, and I've been in Iowa doing deer stuff ever since.
Okay, so I guess Bill loaned you out to do some camera work then?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Lee said he needed someone that could fit in a backpack, and Bill said, I got just the guy.
Yeah, I guess. I'm like the angel and the devil on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Come on, shoot him. No, don't shoot him. No. But, yeah, so actually, the Crush's producer is a Midwest Whitetail guy as well.
Okay.
Justin Fabian, and just, from being a part of I don't know if brotherhood's the right word, of the Midwest Whitetail, but,
right.
We just, have connected, and, he's an awesome guy, and, he hooked me up with that opportunity. So I was, really appreciative of that. And, just going out there and meeting those Lee and Tiffany and the rest of the crew, they were just the nicest people in the world. So it was definitely fun to go out and film them.
Yeah, that's cool. And I like that you mentioned that too, about him coming from Midwest Whitetail, because it seems like there's such a big family tree from, like, if you look at the people who came from like the Drury Outdoors group or Midwest Whitetail, like there are so many people that are big in the industry today that either came directly from that maybe, or have some kind of tie to one of those two groups.
Absolutely. It's done, more for a lot of people than anyone could imagine. And, I think, Bill started that internship with, the intention of just helping young people. I think he enjoys helping young people, develop their careers, find their passions in life, at an early age. And I think he's the same way. He coached football, when his son was in football, and then he also coaches track currently. So I think he just enjoys helping young people, and that's kind of where the idea of the internship started. And it's like you said, it's taken off, and wow, I mean, it's put more people in the industry than just about anything else.
Yeah, and that's I've probably said this before on the podcast, but like if we've been talking about internet shows and stuff, it amazes me how far ahead of the curve he was on building Midwest Whitetail on the internet. And I'm sure he's probably said somewhere why that was or why he made that decision. But like to go to a web-based show before like everything's has some sort of web-based aspect to it now, like to be that far ahead of the curve. I don't know if he saw that going that direction or if that's just what happened at the time, but it's amazing to me, how soon he started doing that before everybody else.
Yeah, I think he started Midwest Whitetail in 2008, and most people started doing semi-live stuff, just call it 2022, so he's 14 years ahead of the game, and everyone did the TV, and he pretty much just stick to digital, and, he found his niche and found what worked for him, and, stuck to his guns, and now everyone's kind of seeming to transition to the digital side of things now.
Yeah, that's the way everything's moving, I think, but to be that far ahead of it, like YouTube was only a few years old at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, like the popular shows that like Heartland Bowhunter, for example, like they were not even thought of at that time when he was starting that. Now, of course, they're one of the biggest digital shows out there. I think they're probably on Outdoor Channel now too, but like as they got their start there.
Heartland Bowhunter, one of their main editors and producers, was like one of the first interns at Midwest Whitetail.
See, it all comes back.
Yeah, Jerry Yarkowski. Yeah, he's now he's a phenomenal editor. But he started it at Midwest Whitetail, and I believe he was in an internship class with Jared Mills. So those guys are still really good friends, to this day. But it's just cool, like we've talked about, to see it's all the people that have come through Midwest Whitetail and where they're all at now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And that all comes back to, I guess, like you said, Bill, just having a passion for helping younger people out and grow their careers. That's cool. So, like, obviously you're one of those younger people now that's working with him, and you got this season coming up. We've talked about it a little bit, but are you on some good deer right now? You think you got some potentially targeted for this year?
I think so. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm out of the game right now.
Yeah.
I was waiting for.
Well, that's what happens when you take 2 trips out west in September.
Yeah, I know. I've been running cameras all summer, and I've just been waiting for a really good buck to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I knew last year at this time that buck that I killed hadn't even shown up yet.
Right.
But so what I'm kind of waiting on is just bucks to start to filter back into their fall range. Wait for some of these crops to get out and really push these deer into the timber, and that way. I'm lucky enough to have a farm. There's a lot of acorns and white oaks, so these bucks are going to move in there. There's a lot of cover. So I'm still holding out. I got a good flyer 10 is what we call him. Mm-hmm. He's a good deer. I don't know how old he is. I don't, if he's 4.5, I'll probably give him the pass. He's just a, 10 pointer with a nice, like a 6 or 7 inch flyer off of one of the 2s. So he's a stud, he'd be hard to pass if he's 4.5. I don't know how to age him. It's the first year I've seen him. I think I have pictures of him last year without a flyer, and he looks 4, so he might be 5, but it's so hard to tell.
It is. It's really tough there from that like 4.5, 5.5, even 6.5 on some deer. Like if you don't have history with them, some of them start to get the different shaped head and the sway in the back and the bigger belly, but like some of them stay pretty tight and lean, through 5.5, 6.5 years old. It's just really hard if you don't have that history with them.
Yeah, and this deer is not very, like, a lot of deer are – this deer is really short. Like, he's not very tall, and he's just muscular. Mm-hmm. And, I had my cameras on video
much like
mode.
yourself, of course.
Yeah. But, he just kind of, like, slowly moves his head, and, he just walks like an old man.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. Obviously, he's just, being wary and cognizant of his, his surroundings. Mm-hmm. But – the first time I got him on camera was September 17th at 10:17 a.m. So he was just like in the middle of the day. Yeah. He's just like, creeping his way through the woods, moving slowly and, look, take a step. And, if I've learned anything, those mature bucks do that.
Oh yeah.
And so, his mannerisms alone make me think he's old, but I'll have to study him a little more, get some more pictures of him, and before I really make a decision on him.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like if there's a deer, I don't know what the pressure is in that area, but if they've grown up with quite a bit of hunting pressure around, like I think they probably develop that sooner than bucks that might not, like that real cautious nature to them. If they've had a lot of pressure for the first 3 years, they could be that way at 4.5.
Yeah, absolutely. I think his body looks like a 4.5-year-old. Honestly, his neck is. I have some pictures of 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds, and his neck is significantly bigger and swollen up, and his brisket is hangs a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess going back to your question, I'm really waiting on a just a big typical 10 to show up.
Right.
I don't last year he was big, so unless he got shot or something, I just didn't hear about it.
Right.
He should be showing up, but you know how it is. It's just
Yeah.
not holding my breath and just roll with the punches either way.
I've got a 10-acre piece that I've had at least opportunities at 140 plus inch deer like every year for the last, I don't know, close to 10 years probably, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2. It's just a crazy good location where this property's at. And I had multiple daylight pictures of this deer last year. He's just a really nice 10. I actually got his shed, his right side, he's got a great big like extra point inside his main beam. It's probably 10 inches long. I picked up his shed on that 10 acres. Had multiple daylight pictures of him last year, but it's like I'm the same place you're at. I know he made it through the winter, or long enough to shed. I know he made it through the season, obviously, but now I'm real anxious about it. But he didn't show up last year on camera till the end of October, so like I still have a whole nother month before I feel like I'm completely out of the game on him, unless someone kills him in early October. But that's kind of how. And I was going to ask you this too. Like a lot of the farms that I hunt, I don't even set cameras till last 2 weeks of September, because most of the bucks that I'm hunting aren't showing up until really first week of October anyway. Their summer and fall patterns are just different at the locations I'm hunting, and that varies from place to place. But I was curious if that's kind of sounds like maybe that's kind of what you've got going on too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not able to, set up a lot of the farms I have for hunting. I don't do any TSI. At this point, I hopefully will someday soon. But I'm not doing any TSI work or anything like that. So, and I don't have any food, so there's really no reason for these deer to stay on my properties all summer long.
Right.
But as they get into, mid-October, late October, there's a lot of cover on those farms that I hunt. So those bucks are starting to roll through those canyons and, start to scent check just about everything they can to, find that first available doe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when a lot of the bucks really start to settle in.
Yeah. That's kind of what I've seen too. And then you mentioned earlier, like the crops being harvested, that plays a big role into it too, especially if you have the cover. If you take out a 400, 200 acre cornfield, that's a lot of, basic cover for deer that's just gone overnight, and they got to find somewhere to go.
Absolutely. Like, there's food, there's, in the summertime, there's food, there's, water from the corn stalks. And, I mean, there's a lot of, what they need in the cornfields. And, if you could find a waterway, to set a camera up, it's like, if you put a bag of corn in a waterway in the middle of a cornfield, it's crazy what shows up.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's going to be an early harvest this year, so that'll be a kind of a challenge for bow season.
Yep.
I would say most all the crops should be out in the next 10 days, and usually they're just getting started.
Right.
So they'll be out a little bit earlier, so there will be less food laying around. So they might really key in on acorns for the first time. I guess not for the first time, but more than any. Right. You know what I'm saying? So
yep.
It'll be interesting. Every season has its challenges, and hopefully this one is a benefit to me somehow. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, no doubt. And fortunately for you, like I assume you guys have had the same. We have a really good acorn crop this year, which is something you can't always bank on. Where like on a year like this year, when they're getting the crops out early and it's been so dry, if you've got good food, like food plots, you're probably going to be in good shape. But like you said, maybe with that acorn crop, if your guys' has been as good as ours, you'll be in a good spot, because they hammer those in early season.
Yeah, especially white oaks, and it's like that's one of the most effective ways. If you're going to go out and sit in the timber right now, I'd go find a white oak tree, to where you can shoot far enough and just wait, and hopefully a buck makes a fatal mistake and starts daylight walking. That could be a really effective way.
Yeah.
But this time of year, I really would like to save my buck tag for. I love to hunt the rut, so it's like, it's almost not even worth it when you have one tag.
Yeah,
Unless
and
it's
then
obviously 200 or something.
yeah, and then you, like I said, you go shoot one this time of year, and you got to get it out so quick, and you're just sweating your butt off and fighting bugs and everything like that. It's when it's 80 degrees, it's fun, but it's not nearly as much fun as when it's 35 degrees outside.
Yeah, let them hang, and yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yep. Well, hey man, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Is there anything else you wanna cover or say before I let you go?
No, I don't think so. I think we've pretty much covered it all. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to, go ahead and just let everybody know, and I'll link it all in the description too of the episode, but let everybody know where they can find like you on socials or whatever, and then anything on Bowhunting Whitetails or anything like that you want to share, just go ahead and plug it.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Ethan.Stubbs_, and then my Facebook is just Ethan Stubbs. So those two accounts are linked up, and then otherwise, you can find all this stuff on Bowhunting Whitetails. So we have a exciting year coming up, so we can't wait to bring it to you guys.
Absolutely. Well, hey man, thanks again for taking the time out and coming on. I know I was glad we were able to get it scheduled. Finally, we had a few conflicts there, but I appreciate you working with me and coming on and talking for a while.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and good luck this year.
Hey, you too. Thanks, man.